All right. All right. I think we have some character designs, and let's see. What else do we have? I put a little something in the animation with a inspirational background for the some rough stuff.
Oh, actual animation.
Yeah.
Well,
it's like an animation test.
yeah. Yeah, just of a gag. I started to do the gag, and then I thought it's hard to do it, just the one drawing, so I just did some kind of like key poses of it. He's basically using his, he tears off his horns or ears and uses them as a nunchucks, kind of. I thought that could be like a funny thing, like have him. I didn't get to finish it all the way, but you get the idea of it. I don't know if we want him to be that small too. He's like so tiny there. He's perched up on the end there.
Is this an AI background?
Yes.
Oh, come on, Jesus.
Yes, it is. I told it exactly what I wanted. I said I want the camera from a certain point of view. I want to be able to let the character go on it, and yeah, did that. You like it?
I'm probably having a guess. You're gonna take off the you're probably turn off the camera view and bring a bottle of wine to just like you did with me when I and there it is.
Salud. There you go.
I mean, of course I'm joking, but there is a part of me that's like, Leo, come on. It's like it's just a little post and a rope. Surely you could have drawn that.
Yeah, I did, but it looks
it
looks nice though, doesn't it?
Why take 6 minutes when you can have it done in 5? It's like that movie that said that guy who said that his business plan was to come out with a video called 14-minute abs, you know?
Oh yeah, Ben Stiller.
Except because if you're at the store and you see 15-minute abs and then you see a video for 14-minute abs, which one are you gonna buy? Oh my gosh. Anyways, okay. But as far as the actual test, I mean, yeah, it's cute. A cute concept and idea. I mean, my first thought, again, being too literal and practical, is like, well, that's breaking off pieces of him, and that's kind of not the thing. But it's a cute idea and cute done. But then I would say this, Leo, is like, oh wow, that's a really funny drawing. Let me hold on. Maybe I should download this or something then. Yeah, I'm just kind of, I don't know, just step through it. No, I'm typing. It's like, is there a way to step through this thing? Like frame by frame. No, it keeps typing.
Yeah.
Well, my thing, Leo, is it's funny because, okay, hear me out. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I know that has a whole different meaning nowadays for like what Gen something, like hear me out. No, hear me out. So you said that you had to describe it in more poses and you couldn't do it in Story Sketch.
Yeah.
Right? You felt like you had to do it with animation.
Yeah.
But to be fair, looking at it in animation, it's like there almost isn't enough poses for animation.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, this almost looks like it could be Story Sketches. You know?
Well, it was a Story Sketch. That's what it was turning into. I don't know what it was. It's because it's not. You're right. It's not animation. but I just thought I'd put it in there and then put the background and everything, because it pretty much was turning into that. I don't know what you call that. I don't know what it is, because it's not quite a pencil test, not quite animation, but it's not a static story.
You call it lazy.
No.
Oh my gosh! No, don't. No, I don't mean to be. No, I don't mean to be like that. No. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what you call that either. But I would say, like, again. So this is because I want to say this about doing stuff like this is that part of it is selling it to the other person. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it is a little troubling to figure out, like, how much work does it involve? You know what I mean? If you have an idea, how much is it worth your time and effort to sell that idea, and what is the best way to actually do it? You know what I mean? Because I think it could be done in boards. It could be done like a storyboard animatic.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you should be able to do it in a storyboard animatic and sell it and make it work. I would say if you chose to do it with animation, you would probably be feeling as though maybe there was a certain aspect of it that really needed to be seen in motion with everything. And that's when you kind of have to commit and put in all of the necessary drawings. You know what I mean? For the sake of selling it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's all. And I think that honestly goes with anything. It goes with, like, concept art. It goes with layout. It even goes with animation to a degree, because even though you're posing some of these things out and you're at the very rough stage, sometimes, it's worth it to just kind of in between it, even if the drawings are rough, for the sake of continuity of speed and motion, so that it doesn't interrupt the flow, so that it really it gives yourself a fair representation of your idea. You see what I mean? Because it's that thing of, like, throwing the baby out with the bathwater, where it's like if I were to say, well, to a point, like, yeah, okay, no, you know what I mean? Would I have said that had there been a fully realized animation test that looked really, really, really good? You know what I mean? Like, if there was a fully realized animation test that looked really, really, really good, my reception probably would have been, whoa, this is a game changer, in our pipeline and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like you never know, because, like, kind of what I'm seeing here now. Let me let me share my screen.
Okay.
Let me download it now and share my screen, and let's talk through this, because I'm seeing certain things in this that I think that are kind of worth mentioning. And let me see. So if I would, wonder if it's better. Okay, I'm just going to share. Let's see, share window. This. Okay. First off, right off the bat, when I take a look at this, honestly, Leo, I'm thinking this is a pretty cool design.
Yeah.
I mean, when I'm looking at, like, this big shape that runs through it, and you have, like, shape within shape. You know what I mean? You see, like, this little bit here.
Yeah.
Then I really like the proportions that you have of this little mouth and head, and this, honestly, this is making me think. You know what I mean? This is giving me ideas. You know what I mean? Okay, So that's that. And there was another drawing in here that I thought was particularly good, which was like this one. You know what I mean? Like, this is wild. This is pretty cool. And this is something where if this were like a model sheet drawing in and of itself, right?
Yeah.
I would say, look at that. I mean, the silhouette value is really pretty clear. It's really broad. It has fun shapes. You have good proportion. You have a lot of things going for this as a drawing. You know, you got rhythm and all that stuff like that. This is really, really cool. So let me go through this some more, you know. And this is kind of a fun pose, although I would probably want to figure this out, like here, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I would probably want to make this expression as strong as this, you know what I mean?
Like design-wise?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this, you know? Yeah, so, but I'm kind of liking this, you know? And that looks like little hairs on him. Is that?
Yeah.
Yeah. See, yeah, and the little belly hairs too, right? Yeah, that's pretty funny. I mean,
I put that in a couple of character designs. I don't know how much harder it would be, but I would really like to make him kind of that sparse, hairy guy, you know? Like, yeah, I think it would be really fun as a wrestler to have those big clumps of curly hair on him, just on his stomach or his shoulders or whatever.
Okay, well, let's take a look, because you have a design here that you uploaded. Let me see. Do I have to? Maybe I should share my screen instead of my window.
If I may, say something about that pose where you goes at Luna, that where he pulls his horns up while screaming like a lunatic. that actually brings me to mind and Nettie from Cartoon Network.
You know, I'm not familiar with that cartoon. I mean, I know of it, but I've never actually seen an episode of it.
What is it?
Ed and Nettie.
Ed and Eddie.
Oh, okay.
It's a cartoon series from Cartoon Network.
Yeah, I'm kind of familiar with it. I know I know of the show, but I haven't seen it.
I've watched watched some shorts when I was very, very, very young, and I have to say it's got a lot of exaggerated movements in them. So I would say we should look them up.
Yeah.
See what inspiration we can get from them.
Yeah, well, I would say, like, if that's so, Leo, if this is something that you want to see and explore, I would say explore it. So let's see some drawings of that. Let me bring up Photoshop. Let's see here. Got to get which, because I have Photoshop 2024 and 2025, and I don't know which one is different or better or what. Okay, and then Sifa, I think you just uploaded another one too. Oh, neat. Okay, let's. Okay, cool. What else we got? What else was uploaded today or this week? Resources with that was the. What was that? That was those bulls and stuff. Inspiration. Well, that's inspirational stuff. Casual chat. Okay, so that's it. I must have had stuff. I know sometimes I bookmark stuff to show you guys, and I always forget, and I have to go through it and look at it. But yeah, let me share my screen. Window, Photoshop, share. Okay. Cool. Yeah, this is pretty fun.
Yeah, it's kind of a different. I don't know. I was just really thinking of the kind of character that he is. It's like, yeah, trying to get his personality.
Yeah. So one thing that I see is I kind of like is this idea of like, areas of concentrated detail, on a big shape,
Mm.
that's what kind of makes it work. What I would probably do.
So that was built off of Sifa's. Sifa, that was your pose that you did last week, I think, right? Wasn't that? Didn't you do a pose similar to
Looks
that?
kind of like it, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I don't think your mic is on, Sifa.
Yeah, I just realized. Yeah, I was saying, yeah, it does. The pose does look similar to the pig one I had.
Yeah.
I like what you did with it, though.
Yeah. Yeah, I like working with you guys like that, like using the stuff that you do and building off of it.
Something that illustrators kind of do, which I see a lot, and I've noticed in the last many years, is this foreshortened foot.
Mm.
What they always do is they always tend to just make it like a teardrop end to it. You know what I mean? Like I don't think they really concern themselves with the whole foreshortened thing like that. So much as they do is they turn it into a design, and they just kind of do something like that,
Mm.
And somehow it seems to look a little bit better,
So when you bring it in there, I see what you're doing. You're making it more dynamic, but doesn't it make him look more fit too? It makes him look more athletic, whereas the other drawing, he looks a little more like kind of not out of shape, but I mean definitely thick. But,
Oh, yeah. Well, what I'm doing here is I'm trying to explore this tapered, this tapered thing.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? If you wanted to, because I see like, kind of what you're kind of going, if you're kind of suggesting something more like
a Jack Black body.
Yeah. What I would do is I would do.
Oh yeah.
Something like this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I would do something like that, and I would even debate if I would even do this. You know what I mean? I'd probably explore it, but then if it got to be too busy, like if I'm, you know what I mean?
Right.
But you see, what I'm thinking of when I do that is I am thinking like this, and then I'm thinking, okay, what variation of shape looks interesting? So it's not just this; it could be this. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
Does this make sense? So that's why I would explore that, and then I'd say, well, okay, is it better like this? You know what I mean? Or do I get the same idea of just maybe overlapping, because this is where it's talking about like the streamlining thing. Remember I said last week about streamlining?
Yeah.
So this is all one shape, whereas this is broken. You see what I mean? So this is the streamlined shape, and this is the bumpy side. You see, that's one. That's now, again, the things that I gave you aren't absolute rules. You know what I mean? There are things to consider, because I think you could do something like this, you know, and still get away with it with an appealing design. You know what I mean? But you notice what I did here is, you see how I'm kind of giving it like, maybe I'm not just doing this, you know, which is what it could be. You know what I mean? It could be this. I would be careful about, see, this is where I'd be careful about this tangent. See, on the page about tangents. So let me zoom in on this a little bit. So this is where I would like either commit to doing it up here or down here. You see, either way to avoid, you know, that tangent. Okay.
Yeah.
But what I did here was I kind of gave it some stylization. You know what I mean? Here, I'll do. I'm going to leave this as notes. Let's see. All right. Tangent. Okay. So I'm kind of giving it some stylization to give it some interest, you know, but I'll explore that. This is definitely more shape. This is probably a little bit more anatomically correct, you know?
Yeah.
Something you could even do with like a little S curve in there as well. Like me. You know how I know how to draw that so well? Because I draw me. Okay, and then what I was suggesting here is, let me see, something you could do is, you know, if you really get that, you know, flare of the wrist, you know, when he's holding that up, that, you know, this thing. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
Just to get that, you know, but shorthanded, obviously, you know. And then what I would do is I would just, if you want it to look like it flares out, like really flare it out and keep of a nice shape. Because I'm not sure this isn't right now. This isn't kind of saying much to me.
Yeah.
You see what I mean?
Yeah.
So much as something like that would. Okay. So this is where you decide, like, okay, is it going to be, are you capturing a drawing that is like in mid-action, or is it, or has it been at rest for a while? You see what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So that's what you just have to decide on. But yeah, I would do kind of like the same here. And here again might be a little bit more of that straight side, and this would probably be the curve. And this is what I think kind of Sifa had in hers, is that she had this real indication of like, it was like in mid-action, you know what I mean? It was in mid-flourish, you know, but here would probably be the shape that you would do it in. And it doesn't have to be much. It just has to be kind of a simple one. But you know, and even with these curves, you see what I'm doing here is I'm not just doing a curve like that. Even when I have this curve, I'm kind of even giving it a little bit of weight. You know what I mean? Here and then like that. You see what I mean? To
Yeah.
give it more interest. So again, it's not. You see?
Hmm.
It's so yeah, like I'm trying to think like I would same idea. Trying to think of like how to squinch this up so that this really has some indication of, or maybe it's just that, yeah, like what you had.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, I mean, more or less what you have here going on there. I like the big bushy eyebrows. And
On this design, I was even thinking like it would be like the character from Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs, the father, who just has these big bushy eyebrows, but you don't really see his eyes except on special kind of expressions. Do you know that character, James? The
no,
one
but I think you know what might not be such a bad idea if if you are getting those influences or whatever, is when you put your sheet together to go ahead and put like a picture of it. You know what I mean? Like
yeah.
up here in the corner, and maybe like you know, maybe another picture of a reference that you
Right.
to hooking over there. Maybe,
Okay.
you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
That kind of thing. Here, let me show you kind of what I mean by that. Let me see if I could find it. I'll show you what I did with my designs. To give you an example of what that might look like. Oh, I know where to find it. Yeah, here we go. So when I was designing this character, I ended up turning it into what I call a cosplay guide. You know what I mean?
Oh, that's
But
cool.
this is
Yeah.
what I'm talking about. So just to make it clear, so like, yeah, I took the reference. I said, this is the kind of corset it's going to be, and this is the kind of buckles they're supposed to be. Look here, you see what I mean? And that's what that little thing is. It's a cameo, and here's one close up to look like here's the bustle skirt, here are the pants. You know, it's supposed to look like, you know, this type of stuff. You see, you know, I even use like reference, like, you know, for her hair, like what I liked, where it was coming from, and then obviously
Yeah.
what is stylized. So yeah, if you are using that kind of reference, I would just include it there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
that would kind of help everything out because there's so much out there. You know what I mean? That it's like, yeah, I kind of remember.
Right. Yeah, yeah. No, that makes sense. What do you think? What do you think of the ears? I don't know if you noticed, but it might be a little thing, but
Yeah.
that one and the other model sheet that I did, you know, all our ears usually that we've been doing are all on the side of the head, almost, you know, like that. And I was thinking of putting it where they don't have any perspective, like Mickey Mouse ears, that no matter which way they turn, it's like they're growing out of this just one point on his head.
Oh, I see. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah. I was just saying that's kind of a neat idea. Like,
It's kind of like a Hanna-Barbera kind of.
yeah, exactly. This is a fun design. I think it's worth exploring always. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Let me just test something out, because there is something about those
Yeah.
ears
Right. Yeah.
that
Yeah.
says like that donkey pinata. You know what I mean?
Yes. Yeah.
So as much as they like the floppy ears, maybe, you know, explore it a little bit more,
Okay.
because maybe some poses they go up straight. You see what I mean? And maybe
Yeah.
other poses, maybe they can flop. So this is where I would use these as very much like Mickey ears. You know how, like, when, you know, Mickey uses them, you know, like when he's sad, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They can droop, or, you know, that kind of thing. You know, uh, yeah, that's what I would use them for, is to help emphasize the expression. You know what I mean? That's what I would use them for. So if you're using, so maybe when he's, you know, excited or something, and maybe he's sad, or maybe it's the kind of thing where he's like, maybe it's when he's angry, you know what I mean? And maybe when he is excited or something like that, maybe, you know, they could do that. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
You know,
I have a lot of gags but I'm doing in that kind of you know, animation thing. But like using them as scissors or using them as a lasso, and just really really cartoony kind of stuff, you know. But the sketches aren't ready yet. But I'll show them next week.
oh, okay. Oh, they're getting ready.
Well, I mean, it's messy. It's just, yeah, it's not
Oh, yeah.
anything.
Yeah. Yeah, I get it. Okay. It's like Ernest and Julio Gallo. We will only serve wine when it is time. What is it? It says like, it's like, do you remember that? It's a odd reference. No, what is it? Oh, shoot. What is it? It's like
A commercial?
Yeah, it's an old commercial from the 70s. It's like, we shall only serve wine when it is time, or something like that. Yeah, it's way dating myself. Okay, but you see what I mean? Like, you know, you could use the ears for various expressions like that, and that's how I probably would use them.
Okay.
And then find your, you know, maybe your default pose, whatever, you know, that is, you know, where, you know what I mean? You know,
Yeah.
use them to. Cool. Okay. What else? Oh yeah, we got. Okay, so that we can delete that. Oops. Let's take a look at these. What is what is it?
I'm not too happy where they came out. I'm more just looking for advice right now on how to improve them. I'm not great with action poses and interaction, so but I want to improve on it. But I was trying to figure out like how to make this look more fluid and more cartoony, especially with like when you're doing animated movement pose and how like to shorten that for animation.
Okay. Well, first off, I mean, I think I laughed because I got it right away.
Mhm.
You know, that he used his what do you call it, the cape or whatever it is, and to drape it over his head. And what I like about it is, what I think you communicated really well is this, you know, kind of like this kind of dumpy, like,
Yeah, it's
you
fine.
oh, you know what I mean? You know, this kind of a thing. So yeah, I thought this was great. I think we just want to look at this a little bit closer. I think the one thing that I do like particularly about it, that I think is admirable and neat to show, is already it's like you said, you were coming from more of a graphic design and less traditional animation, but it's like I like how you're already using these nice strong shapes, you know, in this concave convex kind of idea. And this, I mean, this is, and so maybe some of this could still be just flourish just a little bit more, you know what I mean? But this is definitely the idea, you know. Like here, what I would probably do is, and again, this is just like little things on the drawing, is instead of having them be at one point there, you know,
Mm-hmm.
the thing is to kind of, you know, just overlap it a bit, you know, so that it
Okay.
indicates that there's, you see, what I
Mhm.
mean?
I
That's
do.
just a little tiny thing that you can do. Does that make sense? Right?
Like they're sitting on a plane rather than
Yeah,
just.
exactly. Yeah. Because it kind of gives it dimension without needing dimension, you know. And then this, you could probably have just a little bit of fun with this, with changing, emphasizing that shape a little bit, you know, kind of giving it that weighted curve, you know. Um, and then, so yeah, for this, I think what you could probably do is, you know, uh, this is almost like a straight into like a weighted curve, and then you could still do, you know, this type of stuff, you know, play around with your curves a little bit, you know, and just do a little bit of exploration, you know, that, you know, just to try and give it a little bit more interest than what's already there, you know.
Mhm.
Um, this is really good because again, you have, you know, three things which are all different sizes and shapes. So now I think the only thing you really need to figure out is like, well, what is this, you know, and then really decide like, you know, what are those shapes? You know what I mean? You know what
Mhm.
those are. You know, just solidify it maybe a little bit more. But you know, for a rough, like I could already see like your rough thinking is good, like good, varied shape, good. You see, now it's just finessing or whatever. Um, and then this, what I would probably do, what I kind of like is, yeah, if you think about, I like how you're thinking about what the head might be. I'm imagining this bear or something like that, or I
I
don't
was
know.
going for more of a bull, but I guess the horns don't go out that far enough.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah.
So
So
if it was
horns go out there.
like a bull, like with horns, like that. You mean?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then, what you could probably do then is, yeah, you could, if you had the, I think part of it is really getting these folds to work really right. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Um, I mean, you have it. I think it's just, erase that and then see like if, see what you could do there. with this, because then this might help indicate that there was a, you know, a point there to be had. But I think it's mostly like stuff like this that, you know, where you know, how to the drapery, like really, really figure that out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think I see what exactly I did wrong. I was thinking more flat with the face, and like the horn then comes down across the nose, where I didn't even think of like it can fall on the head and then separately also on the horn.
Yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah. But you know, your initial shorthand of it kind of works. You know, it's a very shorthanded version of it. I think now it would be like, you know, how do you take that and almost kind of realize it more, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But I think, and this is how you would probably do it. You know, you'd really want to figure out what these folds are doing, you know, and like that. And then if he had, you know, again, like if you're indicating that there's might be a neck underneath there, you know, suggest that a bit, you know. Yeah, good. What I really like, I like this too. I think this really reads as a cowering expression. So good there. I think the one thing I wonder about or explore is the silhouette value here. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
What that does. Because right now it's doing something like this, which could work. What is this?
That's what I was saying. I was trying to like do the movement of he's just like waving away to like try like go away, but make it look like it's.
Okay.
I tried to
Okay.
not keep that movement.
Actually, that works. I think there's a way of doing it where what you do is you kind of make like these very wispy lines, and then you do something like this,
Mm.
um, and this is that texture part of it. So this would be more drawn in with solid lines, but you kind of see here how I kind of go wispy with it. You see what I mean?
Yeah, keep it
Because that
loose.
indicates the air moving, but everything else would be like more defined, you know. But good. I mean, I'd probably see about, you know, maybe giving this like some air here, you know, to allow for negative space. And, you know, same thing with this here. Yeah. I mean, but good. Like, is his arm that skinny? Is it that? Let me see what else says it. Oh, so it's pretty wide. So what I would do then is I would probably do something like this, where I probably, you know, again, I'm going to be wispy with it, like that, okay, and then do that, something like along those lines. You see?
Less of them, less lines if it's like a thicker arm than if it was a thinner one.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because what you had before indicated that his arm is probably really thin. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You see, like that. But since it's actually thicker, you know what I mean? When you multiply it, you see it should suggest something of the same thickness, you know. And if it has little hoof hands, you could indicate that too here. I think I would just be careful of overlapping this too much, you know.
Right.
You know, but yeah, but nice. Yeah, and then I would really look at like whatever this shape could be too, you know, have fun with that, you know, like whatever this could be. Oh, okay. So now this one, he's giving him like the little slap, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I think the first thing is that I see is it feels a little off balance, um, like he's going to tip over, you know. And the way to solve that is you always have to have the feet over the head, you know. And you could do that by you can do that by doing something like this, you see. So at least the feet are still over the head, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but maybe you'd probably stick the rear out to kind of counterbalance, you know, this kind of thing. Um, and then this is a little hard to do with a single drawing, but this is what I do for stuff like this is a little bit what you did is I kind of keep the lines wispier, and so that they look incomplete, but like you did, yeah, I would do something like kind of more or less what you did, you know, like that, you know. But I would probably like keep these really, really light, wispy lines and keep these bold, you know what I mean? Because then this could indicate motion more, you know. But yeah, like, yeah, whatever that fun shape could be. And, you know, it should have there should be a nice negative space, like the positive shape. The negative space is just as important as the positive shape. You see what I mean? You know, they kind of complement each other in a way, you know. Yeah, so maybe keep that in mind. Yeah, nice. You know, I think what I would do again, maybe for silhouette value, because what you have here, okay. So what you have there kind of works. I mean, it works, you know, it's good. What I would probably think about propose instead is, let's see, you could probably keep what you have, and I would really, let's see, get this out there and get this. That. So you have something that looks a little bit like this. You see, something that has this arm out there like that. And this is where even I wonder, if you do that, you see, because then you could do this. Yeah, maybe something like that. You know? Something to get this out into the clear, let this end is there. Yeah. Or would it be, or could you do, would this work? Just this one. Let me see. Yeah, some kind of combination of this. Because right now you have that. So what I'm trying to do is get
that arm out there.
Yeah, like that. See, you could probably even exaggerate these more too. Yeah, I mean something like that. Yeah. Oh yeah, the anvil gag. Yeah.
Yeah, it was really in my Bugs Bunny Matador era.
Yeah. Yeah, this is fun. I think what you could do is explained this before, is like, his horns or whatever, just like how you're doing these, these little things. These horns can also act as part of that flash. So you could take these horns and you could splay them out. You see what I mean? Like this. And
I see.
same thing with the with the arms there, and kind of even the legs, and even with the tail and stuff, and really get that crunch kind of thing, like prepared. And then this is a fun pose, but I wonder if you would explore different poses where you where she swipes it away, and then reveals the handle.
And it has more movement.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And the kinetic energy of the movement would be in how you design the folds and fabric on this right here. You see what I mean? You'd have your pose, which obviously would be what it is, but then this is where you're going to get a lot of your kinetic motion out of it. So, explore how what the design of that would look like, you see? Yeah. Okay. Cool. Yeah, let's talk about this, like the expression. Um, you play around with expressions like is he sly or whatever?
I'm going for a real elite, just an elite prissy type pinata. I feel like he deserves to win, but there's no backing on why he should be. He's just real. He's just real. He comes from a line of winners. He's a little bit snotty and arrogant. Thinks he's above everyone else because his neck is so long.
But kind of an upper class twit.
Yes, there you go. That's why in the ones that actually did draw, like all the ones that he is more confident and is like the predator, like kind of more antagonistic to, they're always smaller than him. But anything that's bigger than him, it kind of goes sideways.
Yeah, I mean, you could probably play with this a little bit. Oops, that's a big. Come in. I like that. It's like
I dig it too.
the maid is deaf. Come in. Okay. Anyways, I don't know. You can play with this a little bit more. You know what I mean? Like, explore some of these expressions. See what you can get. Like, but these are fun. I mean, it's a fun. You kind of have like fun concept and line and stuff like that. I'd probably maybe do other variations where again, we are thinking like, maybe if you did simplify it a little bit more. You know what I mean? Where you kind of take the same idea, but just shorthand it even more,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And what could you do? Like, what could you do with these? You know what I mean? Like, you think of shape, you know what I mean? Like, what can you do with this? If anything, think of that. And then same thing with like the cut in his, in his jacket or whatever. Yeah, like, materialize it a little bit more. And I know they usually have, it seems like they have a cummerbund of some type,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and then when you make this fold in the fabric, you know what I mean? And if it's going to drape, really, like, this is where you really want to, like, figure out what that drapery design is going to be. You know what I mean? Because that's going to be the drama in this piece. And what makes it work is you have this very strong statement of vertical lines complemented with that. You see what I mean?
Yeah, the pulling fabric.
Yeah, like that's the drama in this piece is the strong directional that ends up in this, heap of curves, whatever that is. You see what I mean? Like that's what makes it interesting. This is the primal understanding of it. Yeah. And same thing here, like if you're doing a lot of curves, then make these feel angular. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
See, to help get that. Help this stand out a little bit or whatever, as, again, it's curve. That's, yeah. Cool, but nice. Okay.
Okay, I'll work on those to bring them to life a little bit more. And then I think I'm going to kind of, because I've been focusing on this character for a while, probably work on some new different variations of characters and different styles.
Uh-huh. Yeah, definitely. I think this will be good, yeah, definitely, because at this stage of the game, it's like it's all blue sky, and anything you create, becomes a nice portfolio piece for you if we don't use any of these designs, you know what I mean?
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like they're not for nothing, you know what I mean? It's, also serve as good portfolio stuff, good exercises to do. So yeah, no, please keep doing them.
Will do. Thank you.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and I got your message. I'll respond to it. I usually am free most of the time. I just wasn't free at that time, and sometimes I don't check the Discord as often as I should. But yeah, and that goes for anybody too. If you message me, like particularly on the weekends, it's like I just zone out of everything. Leo just uploaded some more stuff, character design stuff,
and Ed too.
On it too. Let's see, what is it? Oh yeah, okay. Oh, I see. Yeah. Okay.
I see. I applied your feedback.
Oh, so okay, let me take a look at that, because I had a thought about this after I think we met and talked about it. And that was yeah, I see more of it this time than maybe I did before. What did I have? What was there before? Look at it again. Yeah, no, you did. Yeah, especially like the concept of building up the line. Yeah, sometimes I see like drawings that it looks like they just went over it once, and for me, generally, whenever I draw, lots of times, I usually do at least 3 strokes. Like I'll lay down a quick one, and then I'll go over it, and then maybe one more over. So, so I'm constantly building up this line, and that's what was really hard about learning to draw digitally when we didn't have that, when we only had vector tools, you know what I mean, where you just had like a hard round, you just had the Sharpie, because you couldn't build up your line, you know what I mean? And that's when I realized what we would typically draw when we were using traditional media like pencils and stuff is we would kind of like rough something out, and then we'd go into it, and then we'd build up our line constantly, and so I think any drawing that you have, if it feels like the line was built up, yeah, the better. But yeah, cool. Like
that pose here when I did of El Mijo was inspired by by Russell Crowe's "Are You Not Entertained?"
Oh, okay. Yeah, this would be another one too. Yeah, like if you have the opportunity, to do a side-by-side comparison of the reference material versus what you ended up doing, so you could so it could compare, you know what I mean? Uh, you know what I mean? So I could look at it because I don't know what that pose is. You know what I mean? I don't remember the movie that well to be able to say, "Oh yeah, that's definitely it, Edward." You know what I mean? Um, I'm changing my pen nib here because it got so. Yeah, I mean, yeah. Let me think about think about what to say on some of these because like some of these, they have like good uh, rhythm and stuff. I mean, I think anything that I would probably say is, uh, I guess because some of these are just almost kind of motion studies. Um, oop, so here we go. Yeah, so like what do you intend to do about these arms, these hands or whatever, because I know we had talked about the thing that looks odd about this design is that it's a full puma head, you know what I mean? But then it's also this part pinata thing, because I know we talked about just having their arms end in that. But then what do we do with all of this? You see what I mean? So what I would probably do, this is a drawing, is if you wanted to do the thing where we were saying, well, if they had mittens for hands, you know what I mean? That would still support the idea that they come to a cone shape and that you would have some kind of fist or something like that. That would be real simplified. Um, but this is nice, and this is nice too. I think you put in the eyes. I always, I don't say it, but everybody says it. Is that it's the eyes that if there's any part to get on a drawing right, it's the eyes. Is to really spend time. With that, to how interesting can you make those? So even from far away, they still make their statement without getting blobby, you know. Same thing here. I think, you know, let me turn up my flow because it's too. This almost has the eagle from the Muppets. Looks good.
It almost looks like he needs those really like thick that thick treatment under the eye. Just look a little bit deranged.
The what?
Under the eye, like the eagle from the Muppets, like the really heavy under eye to
Yeah.
just
They would like they put
right.
like that yeah, like this. You know, one thing I thought about, like, when I looked at some of the pinata characters, like in the stores, like they would have like this, they would have a thick ring around the entire eye, and then they'd have their, you know what I mean? Like it would be like that, and then it would have like this, like their, little. Oh, what did I see today? Hold on, wait a minute. I almost forgot. Hold on. I went to the pet store and I saw this. Let me upload it for you guys, or I'll bring it into Photoshop and show you. Okay. And here it is. Da, 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 da. It was a dog toy. Dog toy that was pinata shaped. I took it from the 3/4 side. See? Isn't that funny?
Yeah.
Wait, it's the pinata thing now. Have you seen that Lego has a pinata
No.
toy? Yeah, and it comes apart and it has like little single pieces that are colored. It's supposed to be candy. You can kind of take it apart and spill out the little bits. Yeah, Lego has a pinata thing. Yeah, I wanted to share that with you because I'm looking at that and I'm going like, oh, how fun, because again, like I'm seeing what they're doing with this, where it's like, oh, oops. Let's see. No, I do. I take a look at this stuff and I really try to admire it. And I say, what can I take from this? You know what I mean? And what I'm getting is, I'm getting this proportions of this, and you see what they did there, even with shape, and what they're deciding to do there, but also this big bulkiness. See how they do that too, and then their kind of shape language for this, and they do bands of color, but they kind of gave them like a horse thing, but they also, gave them this big eye and stuff like that, and so I'm thinking like, oh yeah, what could be taken from this, Um, you know, if
Maybe
anything,
can you use the patches for that one? I think I could remind of some patch.
Yeah.
Yeah,
because
patch
it has like this patchy
stuff.
quality to it, you know, like big squares of color, you know, like yeah, that's they see, yeah, that's another thing that's interesting. And then, but then they do this, which kind of indicates pinata stuff too, right? Like, yeah, yeah, and that's the other thing I noticed too is uh, like what they did here is, you know, they kind of gave him a blanket, you know, and then stripes, you know that kind of a thing. I was like, oh, how fun! So
The colors are all over the place. It's funny. Like the color
Yeah.
there, like warm color, cool colors, just thrown together. Thrown together.
yeah. So what I really think for Miho is what I think I'm really always gravitating back towards is some kind of character that has an elongated neck with a bull nose, with a big eye that could be expressive. Obviously, the little horns. Now the question is this lower half. You know what I mean? Whether to make him more horse-like or more stand-up like.
Well, I mean, we got to remember the big joke at the end is that he turns into that horse. Like, if we make him so much like a piñata now, the transformation scene is not going to have as much impact.
Yeah.
I don't think we should make it like I definitely think we should keep him walking on all like a like a character, like a Pixar character.
Make him anthropomorphic.
Yes, yeah.
Between the piñata and the
I mean, we don't want him to look so much like a piñata, right? I mean, otherwise, then what's the point when he transforms? He's just going to transform into more of a piñata?
Well, I mean, kind of. I mean, so like this is where I kind of do a little bit of both, where he has that four-legged thing, but he stands upright. And then this is where kind of like the barrel-chested thing comes from. You know what I mean? Is that those little tiny legs, and then this, and then you have the neck. You know what I mean? And this is why, and so then this becomes like this, you see? Now, from this is where we play with the proportions a bit of like, how stocky do we make him? You know what I mean? And play with the proportions like this. You see, you get what I'm saying? Is like,
yeah. Can you develop that more, maybe? And let's see what you're. I'm taking pictures of it just for reference to.
yeah, okay.
And I'm another thing, seeing Miho with that you put that making seeing it you envisioning Miho with that big eye. That brings me to mind. That almost brings me to mind Costco as the Ilama from The Emperor's New Groove.
Right. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So now the thing with this is, now the two things that we work with is this, like the Cusco Llama idea, where he has an eye on each side, or are we doing you know, the eyes on top. See? That's kind of like where we're stuck with now, you know? And so, you know, what this does is that this enables us to do,
Yeah.
you know, things like
Right.
this, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like this kind of stuff. But I'm not sure what this, you know, enables us to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, it's like there's something about this graphic thing that I almost don't want to lose either. You see what I mean? But when I see it kind of portrayed in other things, I say, yeah, that's identifiable as a pinata, but it still feels pliable, you know.
I don't. I just even looking at your drawings side by side, like the contrast is so nice. It is like visually just. It's just you can see it. If we keep the eyes in the front, the way you have it right there on the right, and then how you could have part of the transformation, like his eyes splitting like a flounder, and coming to the side. You know, I mean, there's just so much gag things. I think that, you know, the more we keep it like that, where it's cartoony, it's its own Monsters Inc. kind of creature. But I mean, we can still incorporate what you want. If you want that long neck, you want more of that. But I would keep the eyes in the front. I know you like the way that looks as the whole cartoon, but I think that has a different feel than the way we've already kind of built Miho and the whole world that he lives in.
So you're saying like under column B?
Yes, I would say it's just look at column A and column B. It's such a nice contrast. It just like it's going to be such a nice payoff if we have it going from that real expression cartoony to, I mean, it could be a transformation where we could see him, you know, turning like that. But it just, I mean, look at the contrast of it.
Yeah.
What do you think? I mean, does that make sense? What I'm saying?
Yeah. Let's see. Where is it? Let me see. Like, where did I have it saved somewhere? What is it? Oh, Edward put up another thing. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, I think, well, almost like what Edward is doing with this here, like he just uploaded a new thing. Kind of what I'm liking a little bit about it is this idea of, oops, like, again, something that's bold like that, you know, that still might have an element of the pinata construction to it, you know. And so even if we were to do these types of eyes, you know what I mean, could we do, you know what I mean, what could we do to still make it feel like it's something a little bit different that looks like it was like cut out from paper, you know? That kind of a thing, you know. That's what I'm looking to explore. You know, something like that. I mean, not exactly this, but, you know, something along these lines that, you know, you can still have your, you know, whatever, but it would still feel a little bit different than, you know, this genie thing, you know, that that
Yeah.
ultimately turns into cowabunga. You know what I mean? That's kind of what we wanted to keep from, is going back to cowabunga again. You see what I mean? So
It looks like a character design from the Yellow Submarine character design. You know, isn't that the way they did their eyes?
those blue meanies or whatever it
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that's what we've been constantly wrestling with through this whole time. And is this supposed to be the cactus guy?
Yep, that's the cactus.
Yeah. Okay. So
and the snake pinata is the rainbow rattler. I was kind of inspired by Kaa from the Jungle Book.
I can see it.
I knew I recognized that. I see the vision.
Yeah.
yeah. The other thing we thought about too is, well, here's the other thing too, is we were talking about, and I think this is for Sifa, that is they would also have luchador masks on. So so there's a graphic to the luchador mask in and of itself, which is usually like a nose cutout,
Yeah. Exactly.
a mouth cutout, and then some kind of eye cutout. Okay.
Right.
And then there are the decorations that are all around it, like a calavera skull. Okay.
Yeah.
So this is where I was kind of like, putting it together is like, well, if you take this mask, you can do things with the shape of these openings to help define the shape of their eyes. And some of these openings, because it's all shape based, don't necessarily have to have, what I mean? It could be like a circle, or it could be like, just like a, maybe like the calavera skull, like just like a, something. And then we use this as part of their mouth shape, but then we add an element, maybe something like that, you see, or maybe it's rounder, or I don't know, you know what I mean? Maybe it's a bolt, something like that, you see. And then, of course, the rest of him would be, cactus or whatever. Maybe same thing with the others. You see what I mean? Like if we were to do the snake, same thing. Like,
So do you want to see the mask on all the character designs now? Should we start incorporating that as a general rule?
well, I would try it.
Okay.
They're supposed to be Mexican wrestlers and they're piñatas.
Right. Okay.
It makes me think like, well, since there are other animated things that involve piñata characters, it would be so easy to replicate those. But I think the one thing that I really haven't seen is actual luchador masks on piñatas.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
That I actually haven't seen. I've now seen kind of piñatas in the ring fighting a little bit here and there. What was that movie? There was some other movie that did that, but it was a CG movie. But let's try it. You know what I mean? And so again, going back to Miho again, on top of all of this, this is where, again, I'm playing with like, the graphic thing. So maybe he won't have eyebrows. You know what I mean? Like he'll have to do them with this, and then what are we going to do with this? Is this? I know the donkey pinata always had something like that, and are we going to do this? And the ear's going to stick out. And is it going to be something like that?
I think we could still do the lucha mask and keep the eyebrows, just because that way we can keep the expressions as high as possible. But I think part of the gag can be like the eyebrows are still showing through regardless.
Yeah. Could we do that? Could we put big hairy eyebrows on top of the mask? I'd love to keep that hairiness of them in.
Are the eyebrows part of the actual mask? You see? So that when he does these expressions, you know what I mean? It turns into a graphic. You see what I mean? Is that part of it? And then, what do we do with this nose thing, these nostrils? It's again, we're saying like, I mean, do we, how instead of one opening for the nostril, you know what I mean? Maybe because he's a horse, he'll have two. I don't know. See? Like, what do you think?
As far as the overall look, or the nostrils specifically?
Or just any part of this, like, I mean, this is the exploration. This is the thing, is like as I'm doing it here, I mean, I'm just exploring that, because I realize like these drawings don't look, you know what I mean, like much like, but I would have to explore it more, to see how it holds up, under different expressions, like for example, if we did want to do one which was, and again, see, already I fear that I'm drawing a little bit too much like Cowabunga, where, if we were to do an expression like this, where normally I would do that, I'm thinking what I would probably want to do is opt for the design of the mask to be part of, that thing. Or maybe it is like a superhero type mask, and maybe it's something more like this. You know what I mean? But yeah, I think the only thing I am dangerous that small cranium with the big dopey muzzle. It just what does Cowabunga look like?
But I was looking at the Warner Brothers and MGM cartoons. I mean, the same studios, the same artists are working it, so it's gonna look. I mean, if we try to get it to not look like we drew it, do you know what I'm saying? I mean, like Foghorn Leghorn, Daffy Duck. I mean, they all look like they were drawn by similar, because it's the same Warner Brothers artist. So our cartoon is going to have that Cowabunga look because it's the people working in the studio.
Yeah.
I mean, look at all the characters in Warner Brothers. They all, I mean, obviously they're all together. And
well, yeah, they all look like Chuck Jones. They all have their, their eyes, stuff like that. Yeah, I mean that's the thing. But no, I'm just saying is to try to explore. Like I don't want to end up with a character that is basically, you know,
Yeah.
again,
Yeah.
you know, but with
Yeah,
a luchador mask. You know what I mean?
It's such an appealing design, though.
I know it is, and it's fun, and that's why it worked. I think for Cowabunga. So, but
Yeah.
I think is that we just need to explore it more. That we can still have, with these horns, being a little bit more rigid or whatever. I think we can,
Okay.
come up with something that's, almost just as fun to draw. Um,
Hey, there was a model sheet I did, and I wonder if you could take one of the character designs that we have there, the one that you're kind of leaning towards that you liked a bit, and do a front view expression of what that would look like.
okay.
Because like we're doing all like 3/4 or profiles, and if you look at the one that I did, the one that's in blue and black, it's basically your drawing. I just drew over it, but I was trying to get a front view of it, and I kept on turning it to a 3/4 because it just.
Are you talking about these?
Yeah. So the one on the left is the one that you went over, that you corrected and did. And then I just went over it just to get the feeling of your line movement. But what would that one look like from a front view from different expressions? Like how would you do that?
Okay, let me. This up here. Gosh, got so many layers now. And I don't have them labeled. I have to go back after I'm done. This is when I go back in and I try and organize my layers and say, okay, so you're saying,
Okay, yeah, the one on the left, the furthest left, that's the one you did. That's the one I tried to use as a basis, but I didn't like the way I did the front view, and I want to see how.
this front view.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So, okay. So when encountering this type of challenge, the first thing I think about is appeal over construction at all times. And I get that a lot from the old Warner Brothers cartoons and stuff like that, when it's like, how do you shorthand any of this stuff? And that's the strength of what 2D can do. Like, for example, the character that comes off the top of mind is the cop from Iron Giant. How he kind of had like this big nose, you know what I mean? And
Kent Mansley, that guy.
Kent Mansley, this kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, how do you even make this character look right from the front? And what they did was they did something like this with the nose. You see what I mean? They did like this weird shorthanded thing. That's what they did. So you're saying you try to take this and turn it into this.
Yeah.
So this is where, the first thing I'd probably do, my first approach would be to find a nice shape for the head. You know what I mean?
But would it be symmetrical? You wouldn't make it perfectly symmetrical if it was a perfect front view?
No. No, I wouldn't. And see, because, okay, two things is, if I was working on a CG show, yes, because CG has to be accounted for. If I was doing a turnaround, like a profile of front and a 3/4, if it was for a CG show, yes, because I'd have to. It has to be accounted for. The brilliant thing about 2D, is play its strengths, is you can cheat the hell out of it. You see? So that's why I say that's a 2D strength, is you're able to cheat the hell out of these things. So why not? So whenever I do a front view of a character, I never do an exact orthographic front view. I'll do a front view, but it'll be cheated the hell out of. So I would probably do something like this, and then I'd figure out the eyes. And I'd figure out what looks good. And you're done. You see what I mean?
Really?
And that's why people like the 2D stuff, because this is how you would do it in production. You know what I mean? You would, you would never, you know what I mean? You wouldn't.
So if you were doing a product design of that character, you would do it totally different, right? If someone was going to make a mod, you would put the lines and make sure everything matched up, right?
Yeah. Now, if it was, so like, for example, if it was, so what I would be doing if I were to do, like you said, a product design of the character where it needs to be like a doll or something like that.
Uh-huh.
I
Like
mean,
a
that's
ceramic figure.
different. Yeah, that's so, like, if it was a vinyl character or something like that. Yeah, that would be crazy hard as hell, because there's a lot that you have to, account for it. You know what I mean? Like,
If I may say something about some of that mouth shape that you did of Miho. It kind of reminds me of some of the mouth shapes from Sir Kay from The Sword and the Stone.
What are you saying, Ed? The mouse sheds?
The mouth shape.
Oh, the mouth shape.
It kind of brings me to mind Sir Kay from The Sword and the Stone.
Yeah, it does have. It looks like Piglet too from Winnie the Pooh.
Yeah. So it'd probably look, a little bit more like this, I think.
Okay.
So
it wouldn't show his big chin necessarily, right? It wouldn't show the.
It might. And it might do something like this, because depending on, like how, how bulbous his nose would be, like. Yeah, you try to be sculpting it while you're drawing it, and so what I would probably do, what I would be doing is, if I really wanted to be accurate with it, is I would sculpt it. I would actually take Sculpey, you know what I mean, and sculpt the design and see what it looks like from all dimensions, and then that's how I would kind of figure it out. And even go, I might even go like, well, yeah, because like I did that with the pigs on Home on the Range when I did the. Oh, and I found the sculptures in the closet when my water heater broke. It's like, there they are. Yeah. So for example, when I was working on Home on the Range, they gave me this is what they gave me.
Huh.
This is what they gave me. Okay. And I'm like, oh, hey, it's great. It's cute, right? It has like, it has nice shape and all the concentration of detail and stuff. But seriously, guys, what do we do? You know what I mean? Like, what happens when I have to make this into a 3/4 or a front view? Like, what does it look like from a front view? I don't know. And so I started. And I'm like, well, these triangle ears, what, you know what I mean? And then it fell apart really easily, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But what I ended up figuring out was, I think partly through sculpting it, I actually sculpted the character out of clay.
Oh, wow.
And what I kind of figured out was, if it had a body shape like this, and then the legs kind of supported it like that, and then these ears would fold out, but then fold over. You see what I mean? Oops. So that what you'd have is, you'd have this. See where the ears fold over, and then from the side they would still look like triangles, but it would be accurate. You see what I mean? Or what I would probably do is cheat it, where maybe they did that. And again, it's part of the 2D cheat, you see? So that's what I was able to figure out, was that. And then his whole body is his head. So his whole body is his head. And then I had a figure that, you know, his snout would be like that, and then his eyes would be like that, and then he'd have like things, and then he'd have like graphic wrinkles for his forehead, and then it would basically be this kind of a thing, you see, is what I kind of figured out to make it fleshed out a bit, you see, which still stayed in proportion with, you know, everything else, but, you know, and then that's when I was able to kind of come up with a three-quarter of it where I keep the triangle ears like that. You see, so that's, and I eventually came around to that, you know. This is how I came around with that. And so that's what I was able to figure out. So very much like all of this. So again, you know, this looks like it would probably be the most accurate interpretation of this, you know?
Yeah.
But you can see how still this and this are still somewhat accurate, but there's a lot of liberties taken with this. You see what I mean?
And the audience accepts it, huh? It doesn't seem jarring or anything like that, as if you fudge it that much like that.
Yeah, obviously, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. You've seen it done before, you know. It's like
I guess I never think about it really. It just
Yeah.
looks, except for characters like Simpsons. If you see Bart Simpson's front view, have you ever seen Bart Simpson's front view?
Yeah, they look a little awkward, you know.
Yeah, it looks really, really awkward.
Yeah. So, well, the same thing goes with Charlie Brown. You know, everybody mistakes Charlie Brown. Have you ever seen 3D sculpts of Charlie Brown?
Mhm.
Charlie Brown, what he has like this head, right? It's like, and then he has this little squiggle on it, and he has,
Yeah,
you know, kind of thing here,
yeah.
right? Well, when you draw Charlie Brown from the side, that squiggle is supposed to come out. Is what is supposed. That's how it was designed.
Oh,
You see, but the way that they draw him is they just go like this. You see what I mean? But I think technically this is supposed to be, this is all supposed to be hair.
is it?
Yeah, like
I don't know.
yeah, I think that's how he intended it, but he just didn't want to get into all the detail of drawing his hair. You know what I mean? But
I always thought he was bald.
no, this is
Oh,
Charlie
wow.
Brown. This is what he's supposed to look like. You know what I mean? This is how he's supposed to be translated like. You know what I mean? Is that's a full thing of hair, but they just do this thing because they didn't know what to do with this. You see?
Yeah.
So, you know what I mean? It's like because I think if you look at early Charles Schultz designs, he does a lot of this, and I don't know. They just never figured it out. You know, like. You know, but that's how it's supposed to work. You'll see it on some toys when they do a nice 3D version of the toy. They'll do it proper where it does that instead of, you know, this isn't just like some random like
That's funny. I never knew that.
random like pubic hair that's sitting on the top of his head. You know what I mean? It's supposed to indicate a little, you know, a little slight little pompadour thing, you know what I mean? Yeah, it's not this. It's not like boink, you know, something that you can like, you know, pick out and go boink. I'll see if I can find. I must have.
Yeah, I've never seen that before.
Yeah, that's how it's supposed to be. This is just a shorthand. This is like, you know, I'm trying to think of other characters that use it too, like very graphic characters, you know. I know Proud Family uses it a lot. Trying to think of another one, but yeah. Okay. Yeah, so let's go back to your drawings and go over them a little bit more. Let's see, like, so
I was just putting it always at a 3/4, and I was trying to get that sharp, you know, big chin. I don't know. I just had a hard time doing the front view.
yeah, so what I would do is I go back to characters like from the Family Dog.
Yeah.
Remember that
Yeah,
Amazing
yeah.
Stories episode, like Family Dog, or
Yeah, the bread bird.
or even like, you know, like the Ward Kimball drawings, like Alice in Wonderland, like Queen of Hearts and Tweedledee and Tweedledum, and almost like that era where it's kind of like you stop thinking in terms of like you know, like none of this, like no more of that. You know,
Yeah, yeah.
just start kind of going like, I like this shape, and I like that shape within that shape, and I like this shape, and I like this shape, and I like this shape, and go off of that.
Mm.
You see what I mean? Because at this stage, when you're dealing with a character like this, what's going to make the character work is not construction. That's for sure.
Mm.
You're never going to do it by trying to figure that out.
Mm.
No, what it is, it's an exercise of shape within shape, you know. And you know, early when I was at CalArts, we had a design teacher, Bob Lindquist. He, I think he worked with Disney for a while. What did he did? I know. I think he helped design the, if I remember correctly, like the original McDonald's French fry thing. You know, where you put lines in it to make it look like there's more French fries that are really in there. That little yellow line. You know what I mean? It's package design. But anyways, we would have design class with him, and what he would do is he would give us an assignment, and he would be like, on a 12 by 12 card, I want you to take a circle, a triangle, two squiggly lines, and a dot, and make something. You know what I mean? And what the students would come back with was something like, they would take a thing, a squirrel, you know what I mean? They would do something like that.
Yeah.
And then he'd comment on it, and he'd say, "Wow, no, this is wonderful." And he would always, I think his thing was wonderful. He'd be like, "Oh, this is wonderful." And it's funny because he looked like, this is what he looked like. He wore these glasses, I think because he got old. He was like, kind of sensitive, light, and he had this goatee. And I kid you not, this is what he looked like. This is what our design teacher looked like. Bob, he would say like, "Oh, this is wonderful." He was a really great guy. He really was. And he'd be like, "Look at the contour continuation." He had this thing, it was called contour continuation. And he would say like, "Look how this kind of comes down here, leads you to here, and it ends with a period." Like, brilliant, marvelous, stuff like that. Like he would, and we would all do weird stuff, and nothing. And I loved it because nothing was ever a bad design. He would always find the good in it. You know what I mean? Even though you'd come with your thing and be like, "Oh, this is crap," he would actually find like some admirable quality in it and make you feel good after it all. You know what I mean? And so that's why like everyone liked him, you know what I mean? Because he'd find a way to kind of lift your spirits up, by the end of the day. So this is, if I may, this is more or less the same thing. In which case, if you take something like what I did here, it's like, okay, students, I want you to take this shape. Okay, and I want you to take an egg, two eggs, a horseshoe, and a curve, and I want you to make something interesting out of that. You see, that is what I am doing right there. I'm doing a very abstract design. Okay. Now, from that,
But when you're that graphic, doesn't it get flat right away?
No, not necessarily. I'm just going to show you right here, like an example. So this is what. So then this is what you do. You see, this is where you kind of, now, once you have this design layout, if you will, now the challenge is to take that and see how you can keep the integrity of it, without losing,
Hmm.
you know, what is really happening. You know, underneath. You see what I mean? You see, um, that's always the challenge. You see, that's how I work, and
Hmm.
it comes from this. It comes from my early days of this design thing. You know what I mean?
So, question: Do you purposely try not to be symmetrical? Are you like if you look at the thing that I posted in character design, it's all the front views, and you could see they were trying to be very symmetrical, the front view, and that's, I take it, that's you're saying no on that. Then don't be symmetrical. Things shouldn't be symmetrical in the front
Yeah,
view.
right, exactly. Like they should not be symmetrical.
Okay.
You know,
Basically.
and it's on one of my lists of the drawing things.
Right. I just thought the front view. I thought that everything was perfectly symmetrical in the front view.
Okay, so again, like, okay, it depends on your, like, again, if you're doing a turnaround for an artist to work off of, like a traditional 2D artist work off, or a CG modeler.
Hmm.
If you're doing it for a CG modeler, then yes, everything should be symmetrical,
Hmm.
because they're going to import your drawing right into the program, and they're going to work off of it. And what they're actually going to do is they're only going to model one side and then copy, duplicate, and flip it over.
Right.
See, but then that's even what I do too. Like when I do uh, like a character design like that, like, if you're, oops. Right. So if I was designing a character from, a front view, let's say, like if I was, just designing a standard character, I would, let's say they have like a little jacket or pants or whatever, shorts and boots, whatever. What I would probably do, this is what I would do, is I would take this, I'm going to copy it, paste it, and then edit, transform, flip horizontal.
Hmm.
Boom. And there you go. And then I'd have the opposite side automatically.
Yeah.
I know I think in some softwares, I think maybe in Procreate Dreams, it'll actually do that for you, where
Yeah, it will.
you draw on one side, it'll draw the other side too. And okay, yay, hooray, you get an extra button there. But, you could do it here in Photoshop by just doing that. You know what I mean? It's not a big deal. But that's how I would do it. You know what I mean? But that would be because you're creating an orthographic view for modeling. If I was doing a character for, let's say, like a regular character turnaround, you know what I mean? And I started with like a 3/4. You know what I mean? Let's say like with something like that, and I did the 3/4. I would find out what really looks good at this 3/4, and then what I would do is when I did the front, I would just try to figure out you know, what looks good from the front, you know, even if this elbow didn't totally line up with that elbow, you know what I mean? I would be like, you know what, just, you know, it just has to look, good. And then if I had if I had you know, if I had like a profile view, you know what I mean, I would, you know, I would run into this problem like really easily. I'd be like, that doesn't work. So then what I would probably do is I would actually just say, no, fuck it. I'd be like, I'm going to switch arms. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? I'm just going to switch arms because it doesn't look good with this arm there with this elbow like that. Why?
No one ever said anything? Is that just accepted practice of?
Yeah, totally. Because it's like, you know, this isn't like a drawing challenge. They just want to see like what the character would look like from these angles. And, you know, it's like, yeah, they would look just fine. You know what I mean? It's probably less about this and more about this. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
And, you know, say, well, the character is going to look one way, you know, at the profile, and then it's going to look another way at this. Like you could say like particular, like, and I'm talking about like the noses, for example. You could say like, well, I like this, you know, I like this nose, but what are you going to do here? Are you going to do that?
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? It's like,
yeah.
No, what you're going to do is you're going to do maybe something like this. You see? And that's what you're going to say the rule is. It's like, okay, when we do a front view, we're going to do that. We're not going to do this. Okay? You see? And that's where the liberties of 2D allow you to cheat, you see? And then if we were to do a 3/4 of that, maybe we would do this. You see? But then the profile would still look like that. You see what I mean? But it wouldn't be, you know what I mean? We're not going to do that.
Yeah.
We're going to make it look nice. You know, it's like, we're going to do that. See? So, yeah, it depends on what the purpose is. Now, again, if this was a CG thing, yeah, you would run into that problem really quick. You see what I mean? Because you would realize that some angles, it doesn't look right. You know what I mean? It doesn't look appealing. And you constantly have to like, you know, well, now let's figure it out. Let's take down the nose. Let's do this. Let's do that. And you really do, because it all has CG, it all has to be accounted for. See? But with 2D, it doesn't. You can cheat.
So how did they nail it so well with Elsa and Anna? How is it that it looks perfect from the front and the side and the 3/4? I mean, it looks.
It was a lot of work. It was a lot of like drawing and experimenting and stuff. And so what they would do is they would go back and forth. You know, I think it would probably start. Well, it starts with the concept sketch. And then the CG modeler attempts to model it. And then what they do is what they call red lines. Okay. That's where they usually in red, and you've probably seen them in art of books all the time where you see drawings over the CG model. Those are called red lines. Yeah. Even though they don't necessarily have to be in red, they sometimes do it in black, but then they'll draw it like let me show you. Hold on. Maybe I do have an example of this I could show you. Let's see, things, animation. Hold on. Stuff, things. Production, Big Hero 6. Hold on, let me see. Oh, here you go. Well, here's just something to share with you guys. Look. Like here's Big Hero 6, right? here, okay, is a perfect example. Here's the 2D concept art. These are the explorations of the outfits. You see what, you know how I did it before with that thing I showed you last week or whatever, right? It's the exact same pose. It's just a switch in outfit. And then here on the side, they put live reference of what they shorthanded. You see what I mean?
Mm.
And then this is what the CG model looks like from that. Let me continue on. I'm trying to find an actual thing that example of a red line, because I think, oh, here you go. Here you go. Here's another example. Okay, here. Yeah. So this is what they would do, Leo. See? So they would get the CG model, and somebody, usually a supervising animator or whatever, usually it would be an animator, would do all these little drawings. See, like shape nuances like this. You see?
Yeah.
You could kind of go in, see, like, you know, push the hair in, push that in. This is where her ear would be. You know, this is the defined shape of her eye. You asked about all that stuff. You see, same thing, like what her shape of the eye should look like from the profile and what it should look like from the 3/4. Well, yeah, okay. And so now the CG modeler has the challenge because they know it's like, well, I'll do my best. You know, there you go. Perfect example.
Wait, pull out again. Let me take a picture of it. Okay. So the character designers really have to nail it then, and so they can't fudge it. So the drawing has to be perfect from all angles then,
Yes.
because they can't fudge it at all, right?
Right, exactly. It can't be cheated. You know what I mean? Because you can't switch out the rig in mid shot for the. Oh, here you go. Here's another one. Oh, here's another great one. This guy. See how they had to figure out his hair and you know, and what his facial features were going to try and look like, you know, like from the 3/4 to the profile. They would write things like rounder eyes, longer nose, lower mouth, thicker lips, square jaw, you know, all this stuff like that. So yeah, this is what they call redlining. You see, oh, and here again, you could take a look too. See, like, oh, well, the profile should look like this. You see, so you can see, like, you know, they get this sculpt and they look at it and they say, this doesn't look appealing. How do we make this look appealing or something? You know what I mean? In case that's what they're feeling. And then they have to do red lines over it. They have to do drawings over it. They have to think like, okay, you know, the tip of the nose should be this shape. Maybe the nostrils should be this shape. The lips should be a different shape. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know, you know, but that's what somebody thought. And that's what they drew here. Wow. Even to the point of like, well, we got to scooch this ear back. It has to have a more prominent shape. You know, this is where his defined cheekbone and jawline is, and stuff like that. You know, it seems very redundant, but it goes back and forth like this. Oh, here you go. Here's another one. Even things like hands. You know what I mean? Like, okay, what do we do with these hands? You see? I mean, here it says a little more chiseled look, but not too much sharp on the edge. You see? So yeah, so somebody had to do a drawing that helped the CG modeler out to create something more like this. Yeah, there you go. Now you found it. Okay. Yeah, here's what it looked like. See, because here's what it looked like before. You see? So some animator was like going, you know, they were going like, like, you know, what do we do? You know, well, here, let me line this up.
Hmm.
Let me.
Well,
So
that's going to be really hard for the modeler to go and to
yeah,
try to make it.
yeah, but you could see like the animator would be like, oh, like this, no, 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 no. Let me here, do this, like blip, 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 blip. And then the CG modeler goes, well, I'll do my best, I'll try, And there's a lot of back and forth of this. Yeah. So yeah, here's another one. Like, again, exploring outfits. You see where they kind of take the same character concept, but they say, what about these shoes? What about these shoes? What about these shoes? What about this top? What about that top? That kind of thing. And you see, remember the gray card thing I told you about? They usually put in front of a gray card. Yeah. Oh, here you go. Here's again, like, well, here's, oops. Well, this one, they kind of paid more attention to maintaining the pose because I think maybe this probably was for CG reference, but you see, here's a turnaround, of the character. And notice here, like what I said on the drawings of like, when it comes to the hair, draw it with more wispy lines, and everything else is drawn more defined, to indicate that there's hair. But you see what they also had to do here is they had to leave off the hair so that you could see through the character. So even on a turnaround, they'll leave off parts of it, to see the character turn around, but again, like if you really, look at these eyes, it is kind of a cheat because quite honestly, these eyes here aren't exactly the same shape as these. You know what I mean? It's a little tricky. The modeler needs to figure out how to make this and this with the same object. You know what I mean? Yeah, and this is where it kind of goes like, because you look at this eye here, it has that dip, but this is just more, almond shaped. You know what I mean? But this one would look like it would have to do like this from the front view, to get that dip. You see what I mean? But this doesn't have that pronounced dip. You see what I mean? So you know what I mean? Like, how do you reconcile that? You kind of have to try to pick the best from both worlds,
So it couldn't do it perfectly. Couldn't match the drawing perfectly. Then could it?
Right, exactly. So there is some compromise that needs to be made, but that's that's okay because you get it with other things. You get this awesome visor that looks like a real visor. You know what I mean? All the stuff like that. And the eyes usually come out looking pretty appealing anyway. So it does make you realize that when we draw in 2D, we're not actually drawing with accuracy. You know what I mean? We're drawing for the pleasing aspect of it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's quite liberating. You see what I mean? Because you're not stuck with it.
Confined, yeah.
Yeah.
Huh.
Let me see what else interesting things to have here. Yeah, here's another turnaround of the character.
So that one also based on the CG model too?
I don't know. I mean, they might have done this first and then made the CG model based on that. Here's another example of what's the character's name. I don't know, like you see.
Mm.
So they'll do this, often in character design. I'll turn all this stuff off because it's too busy. You see? So they'll include this with the design to help emphasize, like, no, this is what I was going for. This is based on real life, and especially with CG, when they're able to get textures and stuff, it's like, this is why you want it, because, oh, this has more of a satin finish, where this is a shinier finish. Okay, good to know. Yeah, here's another one. Like all these, they call them call outs, is what they call them. See, same thing. Like, even though this feels like a very graphic look, like this could be a 2D style, but again, it's like showing, for character designers, this is what it's kind of like showing your work. This would be the same thing as showing your work when you do the long division. You know what I mean? They say show your work. This would be the comparative of showing their work. You say, like, see, I did all this research. You see, this is where my inspiration was coming from. This isn't just making it up out of my own head. I actually did the research. You see, so this is when you say, why did it take you 8 hours and you only produced one drawing? Because I spent 6 hours looking up shit and 2 hours actually drawing. You see?
Yeah.
You see, this is why you want to do that, So it's the same thing, Joseph, like we were saying before, like, and this could even go to environments as well. You know what I mean? It's like, show me, the environments. And maybe let me show you what I did too. Let me see if I could find it. Hullabaloo. So it's visual development style guide. Maybe was it the style guide? Maybe. Shoot.
And also,
Yeah. So here you go. Here's an example. Like, oh, sorry. My style guide that I did for Hullabaloo, where I was designing the cars. And I said, this is, you see, so yeah, like I saw this gun thing. I said, oh, that'd be cool if the whole car was like that. And, what if the dashboard looked like this? Like, and here's a train interior. Or what about these suits? Like, see how they did the whole suit in that filigree thing? What if the whole car looked like that? And, oh, what about these seats? What if these seats look like that? You know what I mean? Yeah, the bucket seats. Oh, and here's the other thing too, is the stereo CD player. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, see, I would do all this stuff. So Joseph and whatever, it's like, wherever you're getting your inspiration from, like, throw it on there too, to help, everybody else kind of figure out, like, what. Oh, here you go. Here's another one. When I was designing the caverns, this is what I did. I found all these pictures from Carlsbad Caverns and the Disneyland ride, mine train through, what was it? Nature's Wonderland. And I said, this, like, it should look like Carlsbad Caverns, but lit like this. And then I even did like a schematic drawing of, like, okay, so above ground, it's going to look like this, but down below ground, it's going to have this, it's going to be mundane colors on top and vibrant colors below ground. That was my rule. Okay. So that the underground would feel special. I treated everything above ground as the 180 of that, you see? So I purposely used muted colors when they were above ground so that it would be emphasized that they were below ground with these vibrant colors, you see? That was my rule. So
So you develop from that one. So you like make some color work. So start from the one you showed just before.
the what?
Or you start with, so when you're developing some one of the concept art, so you start from that images. I mean, the top right corner one.
Yeah.
That one, yeah. So that you gonna develop from that images.
Yeah, that would be my note to them. That's how I would explain it to them visually. You see, so when I say muted colors and vibrant colors, well, what do you mean exactly? Well, this is where I supplement that with an actual image. You see, and then they can say, oh, okay, I see what you mean. Muted colors. Ah, yeah, got it. Gray. Oh, yeah, real red. Okay, got it. See what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah, because I feel like I could it would be good to develop from pet, even though that's inspiration, but I could imagine that.
Yeah.
Start from there. Yeah. I got it.
Yeah, so here's what I said is like pools of water reflect the image of the canyon ceiling, creating an abstract world of color for the cars to race through. So again, the thing that I noticed about this is the other thing too, is this. Look at this image, right? I mean, if you kind of squint your eyes, what the hell is that? It's just color. But what you're looking at is the reflection of the rock ceiling in the water, and it creates this abstract world of color. You see what I mean? And I said that's what's at play here. That's what makes this image work, is that's what you're actually looking at. Same thing below here, like what are we looking at? Well, you're looking at a big pool of water. That's what this bottom half is. It's all reflected, and it's funny because if you turn it upside down, it looks exactly the same. You know what I mean? You don't know whether you're looking at the right side or the upside,
Yeah.
that kind of stuff. So yeah, I wanted to point that out to say, yeah, I want them, when they go into this underground, to kind of feel like they're in another world, and the best way to do that is to hit the audience over the head with color, unsaturated versus saturated, to kind of play it up. Yeah. So there you go. Yeah, and I did a lot of this stuff too, like when I was designing the short that had the mid-century style, I would find artwork of that style, and I would highlight certain aspects of it. Like, look at how they treat the smokestacks, like pay attention to that, because there's a lot you could take away from this art, and so you kind of want to go like, well, what should I be taking away from this, and this is where I would point it out. I would say things like, I would help them out. I would say, well, line work in white against texture colored backgrounds. Okay, that's what makes part of this look. You see, you have this, everything in white. It's all white line work against textured background. That's what gives this its striking appearance. This thing I noticed, stylized waves. Like, oh, neat. They're just like little half moons. Simplified characters, poses with emphasis on shape. So I would write down my observations, at least as far as I saw them, off to the side, and then you put it against, you create a border and your title, and now all of a sudden you have a neat little portfolio piece that shows that you're an art director. You see, so this is what an art director portfolio looks like. Even if it uses artwork done by somebody else. So I said here, like I said, these balloon designs could be used as decorative hot air balloons or airships, you know, that kind of stuff. So again, like I don't, as an art director, I don't have to rediscover the wheel. You know what I mean? If I see that somebody else already kind of did it, I'll put it in and I'll point it out. I said, this is out of this piece, there's a lot to take away from it, but what I'm looking at are the patterns on the balloon shape. Even though it has a really cool alligator and a really cool rooster and a cool looking frog, that's not what I'm looking at. I'm looking at, you know, look at these shapes, look at these patterns that could be on the balloons, like this, like we should, something like this. But now, of course, you're going to have to make your own shape. You know what I mean? You're not going to copy it, but you're taking your inspiration from it. What was another one? Like I was like starting to collect these, like, you know, look at how they treat their cars and stuff. Like, you know, maybe we should think about that. Like how are we going to render these in CG? Like, you know, how stylized could they be? Here's another one. Yeah, city shapes and buildings. I mean, you know, the takeaway is like, you know, look at what they did with this line work. You know what I mean? Like, you know, it's just stuff like trying to break it down, you know, trying to take sources of inspiration. And like, this is just like a mood board. Like, what do they call it? A vision board or something like that. Yeah. There you go. Vision board. Yeah, that's a common practice, and that's totally acceptable for an art director. And so the next piece of this is, you know, as part of your portfolio piece is you create a vision board, but then what you do is you create now a piece of your own that shows a rough example, not necessarily a final one, but at least an attempt of like, and this is what we could possibly do with it. You see what I mean? Yeah. So trying to think, like, because I did that with I want to see if no, this isn't it. This is just my template. I was trying to find like another example of like how I actually did it. Hold on, I'm going to say environments. Yeah, so then what I would do is, so then I would come up with a painting like this. Let me just, you see? So then I would come up with a painting like this that hopefully touched on all of these things. You know, like we're talking about these caverns and the vibrant color and stuff. Then I would generate a painting. You know what I mean? To kind of consolidate everything into something of a vision. You know what I mean? And I wouldn't get so caught up in making a masterpiece of art, although you could. But you know, I said at least let me try it out here. You know, and that's how it kind of came about. Okay. If I can find other stuff, I'll let you know. Maybe I'll upload it later or something like that. But you know, that's how it.
I got it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, here we go. Like, yeah, because I was trying to find inspiration, like for example, yeah, like the caverns, like, oh, somebody did this piece of art that's really cool. Like, look at these caverns in shape and the cool and warm areas of color. And I really liked these buildings, how they did them. And I also found other inspiration from traditional backgrounds with CG elements with hand-drawn effects animation, So here was a combination of traditional CG and hand-drawn effects to make this League of Legends kind of thing. But like when I did, these backgrounds, this is what made me do if I'm going to do this really quickly. Hold on. So, okay, here's an example. So here. So this is an example of a background I painted based off of this. Okay. So, I would notice that what made this work was you had a textured underneath, but you had line work on top that was both black, but also accented with white line work. Okay. And how they drew in the molding of all this stuff here. Okay. So then when I had to do my thing, that's exactly what I did. See, I drew my light white lines for emphasis with dark shadows. Same thing here. See, I used a combination of that with the textured background and all of this. You see, but all of this came from, like, here you go. Here's another example. See how I did this, right? Well, this came from that. You see?
Yeah.
So you can see how the influence came
Yeah.
from, And AI would be able to do this, right, Leah?
Not yet, not quite.
Right? I mean, see, but this is the whole thing about it. Is that, see,
Yeah.
this is why okay, just talking about AI a little bit, is that, okay, let's just pretend like I did use AI, right? You'd look at this differently. You know what I mean? You'd say, well, good for the computer. Hooray for the computer.
Yeah.
But to know that somebody thought processed this thing out, you see what I mean? That's what you feel. You see what I mean? That's when you feel the art of it, is like somebody thought processed this thing out, and that's why you look at it through a different lens. And now you're going like, oh, yay for James. See what I mean? And not yay for the computer.
Yeah.
You see, that's the big difference, And that's why I was like, looking at that guy's artwork. Yes, you can applaud it, but who are you applauding to? Not the guy who typed in the prompt.
Yeah.
You want to applaud to somebody, but there's nobody to do. So I'm like, oh, well. You see, that's the whole point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I did basically what AI does, which was I got a piece of artwork and I studied the shit out of it. You see what I mean? And then I made something out of it. But I made it. You see?
Yeah.
I made it, not a computer. And it, and I think, to a point, it matters. I get it. There's an expediency about using AI, which is great, but then if you're talking about creating animation art, it
just doesn't
get out of AI. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, anyways, but that's I did want to show you this to show you like for Joseph, how you can kind of take inspiration even from other artists and stuff and thought process it out and turn it into your own. Because I look at what this was done, and this is definitely more avant-garde than what I did. I think mine has more of a realism than this does. This still has like a cartoony vibe, which I would have liked, but that's that's the thing. Anyways, blah 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 blah. Blah 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 blah. Okay, talking enough. It's almost like 8 o'clock.
Yeah,
spent a lot of time together. I think we should probably end it unless anybody has anything.
Yeah.
I did upload some new sketches of Miho based on your sketches, and been inspired by him.
Yeah, they look pretty good. You want to let's take a real quick. Let's take a look at them because you took the time. And I'll give you my quick thoughts. So here they are. They're looking pretty nice. I mean, I kind of like what you're kind of doing here. What do you think? I mean, what do you think? You see what I mean? Leo's like taking some of these ideas, I think the drawings could be worked over a little bit more, embellished a little bit more, but that comes with time, you know what I mean? But, considering Edward did it so quick, these are pretty fun. Something to go on, you know what I mean? So what I would say with these is if there's any aspect about this that you like, keep developing it, keep doing more drawings. I'm kind of digging now this mask kind of feel that I'm, you know what I mean? Like this kind of almost like this mask, kind of thing, which, now what do we do with this? You see what I mean? It's, It's almost like when the artist does this, it's like, well, it's like throwing the grenade and pulling the pin and throwing the grenade in the room and then closing the door. You know what I mean? Like boom. It's like okay, well let's keep going with it. Now let's start adding this stuff. What if we did the weird patchwork that we saw at the dog toy store, but we did this thing. You know what I mean, right? Let's see that. Let's see what we can do with that. Are we still going to do these? But this makes me think like, could we even do this? You know what I mean? Like, have the, but then how does this work? Like, where does the mask actually end? Like, see, let's explore it some more, but good. I think neat so far. I don't know, keep drawing, keep working it out, but pretty good. I mean, yeah, I mean, it's nice to see what this might look like. And what if it was a unibrow? I still say, like, I know, I hate to say it, the whole Mexican unibrow thing, but what if it was? You know what I mean? Is that funny, or is it,
I'm kind of digging the unibrow.
Yeah. So then let's figure out what those expressions would look like. With that unibrow, you see what I mean? Like, let's see if we could get something, all the various expressions to work. You see what I mean?
Mm.
Okay.
Yep.
That would be the next step. Okay.
Brilliant.
All right.
Thanks so much, James.
Yeah, you're welcome. No, thanks you
Thanks,
guys.
Thank you.
See y'all next week.
Yep. See you all
Cool.
next week.
All right. We'll see y'all next week.
All right. Cheerio.
Okay. All right. Okay. Bye, everybody. Okay.
Oh, James, whenever
Yeah.
you can, whenever you can, if we can schedule just a one-on-one, that would be amazing. Just let me know, and I'm pretty flexible.
Yeah, let's do it. I think it's usually, let's see, Friday evenings definitely aren't great. Usually it's like weekday afternoons or maybe weekday early evenings or something like that. But we'll schedule something.
I will say I pitched Thursday in the message, so let me know if that works. But
This Thursday?
Yeah, if Thursday works for you at same time. I don't know. Are you on Mountain Time or are you on Eastern? or
Pacific Standard Time, LA, Los Angeles.
Your 5 p.m. My 8 p.m.
Are you Eastern Time?
I am. I'm in Atlanta.
Yeah, so you're like 3 hours ahead.
Yes.
Yeah, so if it's 8 p.m. for you, it'll be 5 p.m. for me. So, yeah, that would be good. So, yeah.
All right. I'll put that in the books and I'll send you a Google Meet.
Great. Okay, thanks.
Thank
All
you.
right. Thank you.
Bye.
See ya.